This is the NarrowBoat Review, and I am your NarrowBoat reviewer, Jack Beyer. Today is the 11th of January, 2021, and this is a real NarrowBoat review. It has nothing to do with a silver propeller, but we're going to be reviewing a bunch of vlogs today that have come out since yesterday.
Well, I've been out a week or so, folks. I did a one-off vlog yesterday called The Silver Propeller. I may or may not do the follow-up to it. I'm going back to reviews. Anyway, there are a bunch today. I checked my list against a list that David Johns of Cruising the Cut did in his last vlog, where he more or less signed off for a month or two, until March anyway. He put a link down below on all of the narrowboat channels that he knew about, and I went through his list. I went to the link, and there were about a half a dozen that I didn't know about. So I'm going to go over those with you today, plus a couple of others that I discovered in the last 24 to 48 hours. If you have any comments you want to make about the Silver Propeller, please let me know. I do have well, first up is Dragon Rise Adventures, and this is a couple that are not cruising now. I mean, who is? But they did a walking towpath tour of the Grand Southern Canal. Now, this is a canal that was never built, but there are some parts of it that remain. So it's kind of sort of like Life at 2.3 miles an hour, the Canal Hunter series of Andy Tidy. It's kind of like that, but it's a little bit different twist. The wife is heavily involved in horses, so some of the vlogs early on were on horses. More recently, they've been on canal hunting. Up is Davies Travels. This is a couple. They bought a old-timey heritage, I'll call it, working boat, and then they converted it for their use as a narrowboat. And there has been some controversy that I've heard about. Maybe you've heard it too. The preservationists are saying, how dare they take this classic working boat and turn it into an airboat. I'm going to stay out of that. It's none of my business. It's their boat. But they do cruising, and they also, that I find interesting, they do pub food reviews and pub reviews, which are interesting. Vlog. They did a cruise on the Wallingford to Clifton, and it was interesting. Some time lapse, no chit chat at all, just straight camera. Next, the Nomadic Crobot. Young couple. They've got about 4 or 5 vlogs. They were going to look for an apartment, and they just said, hey, look, we're throwing our money down the old rat hole. Every time we pay rent, the landlord gets it, and we don't get any equity out of it. But what if we bought a narrowboat? I mean, where have we heard this before, folks? So, give them a shot. It's a new couple. They're trying the same old, same old. They're trying to get a narrowboat channel going. As of the last one, they have found a boat they really like, but they leave us in suspense as to whether or not they actually purchase it. The Feminist Boater. This is a 26-year-old woman who lives in London. Her name is Bonnie, and she has purchased a narrowboat. It looks very nice, by the way, and she's been renovating it. She's heavily into arts and crafts. She does an arts and crafts theme at Christmas time, where she forages along the canal and finds materials with which to decorate her narrowboat. Older vlogs do include cruising vlogs, but the more current ones are arts and crafts, and I'm sure that's because of the lockdown. And this is a weird one. The Mystic Owls Narrowboat Adventure on board the Cut Witch. It's a couple, and they do cruising vlogs. They've got about 4 out there. The last one was 6, 7 months ago, just at the beginning of the first lockdown. So that may be the reason why there hasn't been one. The vlogs I find feature cruising, no voice at all. There's no talking. It's all music over the video, but the photography is stunning, and I really enjoyed watching one of them. How many of you have heard of the NarrowBoat Meredith? They've been around for over a year and have produced dozens of vlogs. And yet I just found out about them from David Johns. So I feel kind of embarrassed that I didn't know about them sooner. This is Sharon and Paul on the NarrowBoat Meredith. A lot of their older vlogs are cruising vlogs. But the newer ones are cooking, and I guess that's all COVID related. What I find interesting is they cruise the way my wife and I cruise. She steers, I do the locks. Now, most of the time when there's no locks, I steer. But when we come to locks or lift bridges or whatever, I do the heavy lifting and she does the steering. And frankly, she's better than I am. Miss no-touch sides when she pulls it into a narrow lock. But anyway, I recommend the NarrowBoat Narrative. Give them a shot. Again, unfortunately, we haven't seen one in a while. But again, that could be just lockdown related. One that David put up was Ben and Emily. And you have to watch how you spell it. But even so, it doesn't do you any good. I just mentioned it because it was on his list. All content has been removed. The last one that was on David's list, but not on mine, was Summertime NarrowBoat Stories. Summer Wine NarrowBoat Stories. This is decades of vlogs. Huge, huge inventory. They all stopped in April of 2019. They're excellent vlogs. If you were looking for something to go back and watch them all, have at it. They're worth it. But again, nothing since April of 2019. And if any of you out there know why, please leave me a note down in the comments. More to explore. This is Ali, Pete, and Ziga on Soulmates. They're still on the Llangollen. And this is 27 fantastic minutes of Pete narrating the cruise on the Llangollen over the, I'm not going to try to pronounce the aqueduct, the big aqueduct. Anyway, it's fun. He narrates it and you hear him and his humor as he talks to the dog and he talks to you. Next one is NarrowBoat Changing Pace. Wow. How they find the time to do the editing. I'm overwhelmed. I just think it's a fantastic vlog. This last one, called Ramming Speed or something like that, was excellent. Their artistic use of the technology of editing vlogs is fantastic. He or she, and I think it's Louise, they used editing to highlight the trip. They show you the two of them together. They may be in different window panes, this picture-in-picture technology. And then you get the humorous word balloons. Or if if Dave is off camera, they'll just put a word balloon of what he's really saying. But it's just so novel, and it's so innovative, and it's so creative. It's worthwhile. And let's see. 20 minutes of fun. One more thing about changing pace. Dave is one of the 3 gentlemen that do the techie advice that A Life Full of Meaning puts up occasionally. They called it Engine Room Days the last time. And I love Dave and Glenn and is it Jay? I can't remember his name. But there is a third one, and the 3 of them are just fantastic. And if they ever put up another one of those, I'm going to let you know so that we can watch it. Okay, next vlog is Charlie and Lauren. They were a narrowboat couple for the longest time, even though they've got huge, huge social media reach. Narrowboats was just like this much of what they did. They've moved off the narrowboat. There were issues they had with the lifestyle of a narrowboat, such as they didn't have a shower on their boat. So they've moved into a friend's apartment in London for the lockdown. And this last vlog is them doing that move. If they put up another vlog that doesn't have narrowboating in it, I will not review it. Not that it isn't worth watching, it's just that it's not a narrowboat vlog. It's been a while since we heard about liveaboard lifestyle, but this is a woman who was recently separated from her husband, and now she's carrying on solo on the narrowboat, and she seems to have it all together. In this one, she apologizes for not being around for a while, but then she goes into what she does best. She goes into her tutorials. In this one, she talks about the coal cage and how it's helped her. She also does a short cruise to get water. Gary Captain Phillips. He's in a frozen marina, and boy, does it look cold. And have you ever seen the bed that Chippendale used? It's like a super pillow that's been hollowed out, and it looks so warm and comfy. On these cold winter mornings, you get jealous. And wouldn't you just love to crawl into something as snug and bug as that? So Gary is giving you a life in his day, what it's like to be home from the hospital, and we all wish you the best, Gary. Home from the hospital and coping with the cold. The next vlog after that is the narrowboat that James built. This is another of his do-it-yourself videos. If you're into do-it-yourself, great. Or in this case, he's talking about toilets. We've seen a lot of vlogs about toilets, but James handles it in a little bit different way. He tells you if this is your kind of cruising style, then this is the kind of toilet you need. And he discusses all three, and he shows you which one he picked. And no, I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to watch the vlog. The Bonnevilles. They drove a great distance to get to Burton-on-Trent, and they're trying to buy a car top box for storage. And you get a little tour of Burton-on-Trent. Next, we're talking about Benjamin Vintage Finds. And as you may recall, this is the 23-year-old Liz who lives on a narrowboat, but it's a narrowboat in France. Her parents own or maintain a boat hire business, and she's in, it's not a marina, but it's in their moorings. Well, they need to shuffle things around and get some of their boats out, so they need to have her move. And that's what this video is about. She does a short cruise around, and you get to see the boat on the beautiful river that they never tell you where that location is, but it's drop dead beautiful. And if you want to see what it's like to cruise in France, great. My family, about 3 or 4 years ago, we did the Canal du Midi. And we rented a cruiser. I can't remember the name of the company, but it's the most popular cruiser there on the canal. And we got it in Carcassonne, and we took it to the end. Their cruisers are much like those. Very comfortable boats, very wide. And if you want to see it, watch Benjamin Vintage Finds. See and Dim. I love those two. They're so funny. You know, normally they start their vlogs off and they're in their little cozy couches or beds, whatever those are, in the front of their boat. And Dim is always wearing a t-shirt with some funny words on it, and you want to see what it says. He didn't do it this time, darn it. But the two of them, because it's lockdown, they decide to do a towpath walk, and they do it along the, is Heatherton, am I pronouncing that right? I believe it is. Yeah, the Heatherton branch. and it's currently, parts of it are currently being restored, and they show you the remains, and they talk about the history. It's a good vlog. I enjoyed it. The one after that is Noggin Wales. I actually understood his accent through most of it because he didn't talk. Front end, he did talk. He told you what he was going to do. He's going to be working on his hatch. He's finishing it up. And he does spot welding. Towards the end, the last 2 or 3 minutes, I couldn't understand the thing he said, and I'm sorry. I wish I could have, so I could have reported on it. But if you want to see a spot of welding, forgive the pun. If you want to see a spot of welding, watch Noggin Wales. Next is again, Noggin Wales, by the way, is a do-it-yourselfer. Next is Needle Travels. And we've talked about this a couple of times. This is the couple that has been very active vlogging recently. And unlike most of the vloggers who own their own boat, these people are hire boaters. But that doesn't stop them from vlogging when they're not renting. In this vlog, it's pretty useful. It's about how you should go about choosing a narrowboat. What are those 10 most important factors? I looked at it as an American would look at it, and I had some differences, and we've been bouncing back and forth, they and I. And from an English standpoint, I thought the 10 were good. Where I disagreed with them was things like when you're traveling from America to the States, you travel light because you don't want to lug a lot of weight to a boat. So there's certain things that we don't take. We don't take a lot of clothes. We don't take heavy boots and shoes. We don't bring food from home. But their list for somebody who lives in England is good. So if you're interested in that view, give it a shot. I liked it because it spurred an idea in my mind, and I'd like your input on this. And that is to do a vlog on the same as theirs, how to hire a narrowboat, but from the vantage point of an American, or at least someone who doesn't live in England who's about to go and hire a narrowboat. What are the things that a foreigner like me should keep in mind? What are our top 10 things in hiring a narrowboat? Give me a comment. I'd really appreciate your input on this as to whether or not you think that would be something that would be worthwhile alongside the normal narrowboat review. Well, we've come to the end of this narrowboat review, so I'm going to bid you folks a good evening, because it's a good evening over there. And I wish you all the best. I hope you get through this lockdown, because it's getting even worse from what I understand. And my heart's with you folks, really. We're all going through it. I went stir crazy last week when they did crazy things in Washington, and that coupled on top of the lockdown just burned me out, and I couldn't touch vlogs for a while. And I had to get my mind off on it, so I went over to the Silver Propeller, and my mind really wasn't enough on that. So I'm back to the reviews. Bear with me. Jackie is back, and I wish you all the very best. Please like, subscribe, it's free. Leave comments, click on the bell icon, and I'll see you next time.